Part 76. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 751. Second Master Ying carried the load, Su Qingfeng pushed the cart, Xiaoao took nothing. They returned to a community, Su Qingfeng parked the car, and the second Master Ying said generously. Okay, Lao Su, go ahead and do whatever you need to do. Su Qingfeng. Although he joined the queue of Xiaoao. But a small problem has arisen. When Su Qingfeng applied for the job, the second master said that he would only care about food, not housing. Therefore, even if the house where Mr. Ying and the others live has 3 rooms, Su Qingfeng still has to sleep on the street. Su Qingfeng was really embarrassed, so he finally said, can you lend me some money? For the past few days, he had been wandering the streets at night without even a place to stay. When has the majestic 9th level war god of the human race ever suffered such injustice? Of course, when Su Qingfeng was walking around, people from the city defense department often came to him and asked if he needed help and could help send him to the relief station. Out of the dignity of the 9th level war god, Su Qingfeng declined. The key is, he works with the second master and doesn't get a penny of salary. I don't know who Yi learned it from. The second master Ying also has something to say. The pancakes and fruit cost 2 yuan, but Su Qingfeng doesn't have a penny in them, right? What does the fortune-telling fee of 5 yuan and Xiaoao's fortune-telling have to do with Su Qingfeng? After all, Su Qingfeng worked in vain every day, and his pocket was cleaner than his face. Then he had no choice but to ask Mr. Ying to borrow money. It's okay to borrow money, but we've made it clear about the interest rate. Second Master Ying calculated the accounts very clearly. He took out a calculator and rolled his face on it. Second Master Ying heard someone say that you should use a calculator to calculate accounts. The calculator is accurate for addition and subtraction beyond 10. For addition and subtraction within 10, the calculator can calculate quickly and accurately. After using the calculator, Master Ying's thinking became much clearer. He cleared his throat and said, I'll lend you 10,000, and you'll pay me back 500. It's very reasonable. Su Qingfeng. Isn't this inappropriate? Su Qingfeng corrected him, Second Master, you have to pay back more than what you borrowed. If I ask you to borrow 10,000 yuan, I have to pay back at least 10,000 yuan. Second Master Ying's pupils were filled with shock, and he couldn't help but take a breath and said in disbelief. Is that so? Su Qingfeng nodded helplessly, that's right. Second Master Ying gave a strange cry, ran towards Xiaoao and wailed. Uncle San, I'm probably crazy. Xiaoao nodded, I know. That's okay. Second Master Ying went crazy for a while, then regained consciousness and continued talking to Su Qingfeng about borrowing money. I understand. Second Master Ying was gearing up, his eyes were bright, he looked at Su Qingfeng and asked. You asked me to borrow 10,000 yuan and pay back 10,000 yuan more than 500 yuan. This is the principle, right? Su Qingfeng nodded quickly, yes, that's right. The second genius child film master. I can understand people so quickly. The second Master Ying was so happy that he stretched out a hand and spread it in front of Su Qingfeng. Su Qingfeng's smile froze on his face and he asked in confusion. Second Master, what are you doing? Pay me back. The second Master Ying said it righteously. If you don't pay me back, why should I lend it to you? Su Qingfeng was confused again, you haven't lent me the money yet, why should I pay you back? Second Master Ying looked at Su Qingfeng warily. So, you don't plan to pay back the money at all, do you? Su Qingfeng. He was wrong, really wrong. In the first place, he shouldn't have borrowed money from the madman Ying Yi. Ying Er saw that Su Qingfeng didn't intend to pay back the money, so he ran to Xiaoyao and whispered. "Third uncle, please remember it for me. Su Qingfeng owes me 10,500. You also know that I am not very smart. I am afraid that I will forget this." Xiaoyao asked seriously, "Does he really owe you?" Second Master Ying nodded, very seriously. "Absolutely. If he borrows money from me, he must pay it back, right? If he doesn't pay back the money, why should I lend it to him? As long as he repays the 10,500, I will definitely lend him 10,000. Su Qingfeng?" For a moment, he even felt that what Second Master Ying said made some sense. There's a damn truth to it. Su Qingfeng, who failed to borrow money, could only wave his hands helplessly and think about how to spend tonight. Second Master Ying carried large and small bags, walked in front of Xiaoyao, and started to go upstairs. The two of them did not take the elevator, but walked up one floor at a time. When he reached the door of his house, Mr. Ying suddenly stopped and said with a vigilant look, "Third uncle, something is wrong." He carefully put his ear against the wall, listened to the movement inside, and came to a rigorous conclusion. "There's a thief in the house." Xiaoyao reminded, "We live across the street." Oh. Second Master Ying nodded, ran to the opposite wall, and pressed it against it again. "There are still people." Second Master Ying's intuition was indeed correct. Ying Er felt like he was facing a formidable enemy. He had never encountered such a thing as a thief. "Uncle San, what should we do now?" Second Master Ying felt that it was time to use third uncle's wisdom. Since he is a lunatic, he should listen to his third uncle on such matters. Xiaoyao calmly took out his mobile phone, pressed 3 digits, and connected the number. "Hello, City Defense Department, there may be a thief in my house. My surname is Zhang, Xiaoyao's Zhang. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjiao Old Thief. Chapter 752. Next time you encounter something like this, first understand the situation clearly. The strong men in the City Defense Department were also helpless. They received a call from the hotline saying there was a burglar in their home, but when they arrived they found out it was a misunderstanding. Zhao Lin didn't know what was going on. The people from the City Defense Department came and left in a daze. He looked at the two people outside the door. A man dressed exaggeratedly and behaving like crazy was squatting at the foot of the stairs counting ants. God knows where the ants came from at the stairwell. The other Taoist was much more normal, standing outside the door with an indifferent expression, as if he was not easy to get along with. Zhao Lin asked tentatively. "You are?" Xiaoyao thought for a while and gave an answer, "Third brother." "Third brother?" Zhao Lin doesn't remember that he has this brother. The madman squatting on the ground, his eyes particularly clear at the moment, explained. "My third uncle is Ye Bai's third brother." "Oh, come in quickly, come in quickly." Zhao Lin quickly gave up his seat and invited the two of them into the house, saying as they walked, "Ye Bai is busy outside, so I come over regularly to clean his house and check if there are any leaks upstairs or downstairs." "That's right." After arriving in Nanjiang City, Xiaoyao took Ying Er and moved directly into Ye Bai's house. Keys and other things, naturally cannot be troubled by these two existences. Xiaoyao felt that he needed to find a place to live, so Ye Bai called him third brother and lived in Ye Bai's house. This made sense. After Xiaoyao and Ying Er entered the house, they sat on the sofa and Zhao Lin brought 2 glasses of water. "Your name?" Xiaoyao replied, "Zhang." Zhao Lin felt that the name Zhang San was not very nice, so he had to change his name and shout, "Brother Zhang, I didn't know you lived here." "Excuse me. I was shocked when I came in today." Zhao Lin was really shocked. Originally, he thought that since Ye Bai didn't live at home all the time, raising a few pots of green plants would add some vitality. Who would have thought that when I entered the house today, the potted plants almost reached the ceiling. Zhao Lin never thought that a small green radish could grow so tall. Putting aside these weird potted plants, the duo in front of them also revealed weirdness in every aspect. Zhao Lin couldn't contact Ye Bai, so he had to entertain the two people in front of him. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Zhao Lin found that the two people in front of him were a bit indifferent and couldn't talk together. It was already dark and he couldn't be bothered, so he wanted to get up and leave. Etc. The third brother named Zhang stopped Zhao Lin and asked him an inexplicable question. What are you going to do in the future? This. Zhao Lin didn't expect that someone would ask him about his career plan at this time. He didn't think much about it and just said whatever he wanted. Originally, I planned to go to Wanwu Pavilion to be a steward, but after this period of time, I seem to have achieved pretty good results. Zhao Lin said a lot. Go to college, go to the abyss, perform your duties, kill monsters, then go home, marry a wife, have children, and live a long life. It's a very ordinary life plan, and there's nothing wrong with it. Oh. The third brother named Zhang let Zhao Lin go without saying anything. Ying Er was a little nervous. He plucked up the courage and asked tentatively. Uncle San, what are you going to do? The second master's disease is very flexible. When he should be crazy, he will be crazy. When he should be smart, he will be smart. He knew that things had gone smoothly before. If something goes wrong at this juncture, something will really go wrong. Xiaoao thought for a while and replied. Read a book. Unlike what others thought, Xiaoao didn't read much. Because it's not necessary. When he woke up from the Eternal Tower, he knew many things, even most things in the entire world. Even if you don't know, Xiaoao can still count it. He looked at the world, but never really read a book. Second Master Ying sighed, this is not a big deal. Okay, I won't go out tomorrow, let's go to the library. Just as Mr. Ying was about to fall asleep, Xiaoao stood up and walked out the door. Second Master Ying feels that he should be Xiaoao's guardian. The duo left the community and picked up a shivering 9th-level god of war on the roadside. They once again formed the Xiaoao group on the streets of Nanjiang City late at night. Xiaoao is responsible for Xiaoao, and the two of them are responsible for paddling, or swimming in short. Second Master, where did this song come from? Su Qingfeng asked cautiously. Ying Er, however, put on a straight face and said angrily. Before you pay me back, I won't tell you that we are going to the library to read. Su Qingfeng. You could say that the second master is smart, but sometimes he can be quite silly. Do you think the second master is crazy? Is this what a lunatic can say? Resigned to his fate, Su Qingfeng followed Xiaoao into the largest library in Nanjiang City. The moment Xiaoao stepped into the library, the entire library of books seemed to be slowly floating without gravity. Then, the books were opened by the breeze. Countless breezes echoed in the library, turning the pages of books and making a swishing sound. Su Qingfeng was stunned. He felt that if he had some enlightenment, he seemed to be about to touch a higher level. Boom! Second Master Ying gently awakened Su Qingfeng's intoxicated mind. You can't get stronger, at least not now. Second Master Ying has never been so clear-headed as at this moment. The human race needs a weak Su Qingfeng. Want to break through? There are no doors. Hold it in for me. Second Master Ying sighed. Qingfeng, I'll give you another hard time. Su Qingfeng covered the big bump on his head and wanted to cry but had no tears. He had never been so wronged before. Watching the opportunity for breakthrough slip away from you. My heart is like a knife. At this moment, Su Qingfeng missed a certain ruthless man very much. Shura, come back quickly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 753. Yabai looked at the sword prison in front of him and began to doubt his life. If you want to break through a sword prison of this level, even if you know the method, it is still very difficult to actually do it. What's more, Yabai also has a gold medal inmate, Sun Li. It's yes if you are holding back. Sun Li is also very helpless. This sword prison is very precious and should be enjoyed by the most powerful seeds. Why is it his turn to be Sun Li? Sun Li sat on the diagonal with his hands spread out and looked at Yabai. What do we do now? When I heard the word us from your mouth, things were already very bad. Yabai sighed and looked at Sun Li. With Shura's way of life, he would definitely not be afraid of difficulties. Let's deal with the bug first. Sun Li was sent in by Wuhan. Yabai needs to think about what other bugs can be stuck. Moreover, the fact that Sun Li was too unlucky also reminded Yabai. Something is wrong. There must be other secrets about this guy. Yabai could still accept ordinary bad luck. Someone is always going to be unlucky, why can't it be someone else? Sun Li's bad luck is a bit too stable. He is the walking broom star. Before, Yabai never thought about why Sun Li was so unlucky. Now that everyone was trapped in the same sword prison and squatted together, it gave Yabai time to think. Thinking about this, Yabai felt more and more something was wrong. Wilhen has a very proud achievement. He is the only one who came back alive after confronting the most powerful demon. But among those who escaped from the abyss of power were Yingju and Sun Li. Sun Li slipped away from under the nose of the most powerful demon god back then. It was definitely not as simple as bad luck. Yabai thought of the worst possibility. What if Sun Li is also related to the most powerful demon? No matter what the situation is, Yabai must find a way to solve the predicament at hand. Must be a bug. There seemed to be a flash of sword energy in his eyes, his legs were crossed, and he was deep in thought. After half a day, Yabai stood up. He learned this sword. In the dream, I didn't know I was a guest. Only then did Yabai understand how talented De Menzi was in swordsmanship. I watched it several times before and after, not knowing that I was a guest in the dream. I was hacked twice, and I also used the replica mode. With so many bonuses, it would take Yabai half a day to learn this sword. Learning the sword for Xuemeng was as easy as drinking water and eating. After learning the swordsmanship, Yabai now had a new problem. How to cut yourself. Just like when a doctor is about to perform an operation on himself, something feels weird. Brother Sun, do me a favor. Yabai stored the sword energy in the scroll, and then asked Sun Li to use the scroll to attack him, so that he could enter the dream and continue to get stuck. The idea is beautiful, but the reality is very ugly. After Sun Li tore open the scroll suddenly lost control. The sword energy that should have rushed towards Yabai struck Sun Li first instead. Yabai didn't get the bug, but Sun Li got stuck first. Before Yabai had time to be surprised, Sun Li, who had just fallen asleep, miraculously woke up again. Seeing Yabai's surprise, Sun Li smiled bitterly and said, "Too unlucky, I was kicked out." Hiss. That's reasonable. After the first failure, the two continued to try. Fail. Fail. A complete failure. He is the one who deserves the disaster of the last catastrophe of the world. It's still a familiar setting, but the children have a few more toys. There is no way, Sun Li is too unlucky. His name is Sun Li. In the dream that he released, Yabai didn't know that he was being hacked by a guest. The bug was successfully blocked and he got his wish and entered the dream space. The child blinked and asked curiously. Unlucky. I know you. Yabai. The child was very surprised. The elder brother had been with each other for so long, and he didn't even know this? This person is so unlucky that he doesn't even want to know his name. Yabai rolled his eyes and asked seriously. Yabai continued to ask. Grass. After 9 consecutive failures, Sun Li finally controlled his sword energy and successfully struck Yabai. Yabai could only ask one sentence at a time. When did you first know Sun Li? It's okay to play. If Yabai hadn't taken the initiative to ask about things related to Sun Li, the child wouldn't even want to mention them. The unlucky guy before was called Sun Li. The 5th demon is too crazy, Wuhan is too fierce. The child nodded. He seemed to have unearthed some amazing information by accident. The 5th demon god had long since disappeared, which made Yabai breathe a sigh of relief. Only Yabai is harmless to humans and animals, and even the most powerful demons praise him for his cuteness when they see him. Yabai forced himself not to be too shocked, his voice trembled slightly. Who is Sun Li? Sensing someone coming, the child subconsciously wants to drive the person away. Do you know him? The child's face was full of excitement. For such a long time, Yabai was the only one who could play with him. Compared with the previous giant hammer, this sword energy is like scratching an itch, not painful or itchy. It turned out that it was the big brother who was harmless to humans and animals, and the child breathed a sigh of relief. Yeah. The last time the world was destroyed. Big brother, are you back to play again? The child thought for a while and replied seriously. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 754. The Catastrophe of World Destruction. The person who should be robbed. Yabai's eyes lit up, and coke, melon seeds, and potato chips appeared in his hand. He sat on the small bench, looked at the child, and said seriously. Expand your story. Keep talking, I'm remembering. It's really useless to look at it. Yabai didn't expect that Sun Li would have such a story background. But if you think about it from another angle, Sun Li's misfortune is indeed beyond common sense, even beyond the law of cause and effect. Moreover, Sun Li did not break through early or late, and was stuck in Yabai's generation. In a sense, bad luck may also be taking effect. In other words, Shura's era of greatest strength will always be shrouded in bad luck. The child looked at the thing in Yabai's hand, pursed his lips, and asked curiously. Is it tasty? Obviously, he saw that this was food. Food is not common here when he is here. The 5th demon is a lunatic. After he comes in, he will only be incompetent and furious. Of course, it is impossible to bring him food. Yabai was not polite and directly tore open the potato chips and handed them to the child. The child followed Yabai's example, opened his mouth, stuffed the whole bag of potato chips into his mouth, chewed it a few times, and swallowed it. Yabai. The child said seriously. The inside is crispy, but the outer skin has no flavor and the texture is not good. His analysis was so serious that Yabai couldn't complain. Yabai had no choice but to take out another bag of potato chips and teach the children how to eat potato chips correctly. After learning the correct way to eat potato chips, the child still eats a bag of potato chips in one bite, but this time he will not eat the bag. After clearing out all Yabai's potato chip inventory, the child began to introduce Sun Li. After all, it is quite unlucky. Under normal circumstances, children will not mention things related to Sun Li. Since you have eaten Yabai's food, it's not impossible to help him explain his doubts. He is the one who deserves the disaster. The disaster of destruction will continue to come around him until the whole world is destroyed. Then kill him and the destruction of the world will be over. The child's expectations are very indifferent, as if he wants to say something that has nothing to do with him. He has no idea about the destruction of the world. If you have never truly lived, you will naturally not be afraid of death. Yabai asked. So Sun Li is still alive now. The Sun Li the other party mentioned was too long ago, and Ye Bai was not sure if he was the same person as the Sun Li in front of him. Stay alive, because the destruction of the world has failed. The child said, of course. The tribulation of world destruction did not complete the destruction of the world, so of course Sun Li was not killed. After he survived, he was not accepted by the world. Coupled with the influence of the tribulation of world destruction, it was so unlucky. So this is at least the other party's inexplicable bad luck is finally figured out. But are you drafting it? If you have the ability, you can kill me today. Go, find the most powerful seed of the human race, bring him to me, I promise you immortality. Looking at this familiar scene, a dark, dirty, evil smell was suspended in the air, making it sickening. Needless to say, this is the most powerful demon. Regarding Sun Li's doubts, Ye Bai understood a little bit. Sun Li, whose face was stained with blood, struggled to stand up. He didn't care about the promise of the most powerful demon god, but said to himself. It was Sun Li. The voice of the most powerful demon seemed to echo throughout the space. Ye Bai didn't have any chance to refuse. Everything in front of him was blurry. They followed the long river of time and came to 100 years ago. Ye Bai frowned, a little confused. This answer was more exciting than he thought. He was staggering and had difficulty standing up. He had a bleak smile on his face and raised his middle finger to the sky. Ye Bai cheered up and looked ahead, not wanting to miss any detail. They were eaten by us. The child answered directly without any hesitation. The child waved, and a white colt appeared in front of him. He originally thought that Sun Li was hiding in the Eternal Tower and came to Blue Star like Xiaoao. This unlucky guy was thrown heavily to the ground, like a mortal, without any ability to struggle. When it comes to disappointing people, never disappoint. I'm afraid the most powerful demon god also thinks this guy is unlucky, no. Among the most powerful demons, a person was spit out. Unexpectedly, Lao Sun was directly swallowed by the most powerful demon. I can take you to see it. The catastrophe of annihilation didn't even kill me. Ye Bai. The child knew the answer to this question, but he found it too troublesome to say it. The eye of hindsight lives up to expectations. Since Sun Li was integrated into the most powerful demon god, how did he escape? As the most powerful demon god with good intentions, his use of SSS level talents is unparalleled by anyone except the most powerful humans. It can't be because of bad luck, right? So that's it, I understand. Ye Bai asked again, then how did Sun Li survive? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 755. Above the long river of time, Ye Bai and the child stood in the air, silently watching everything happening in front of them. After being spat out by the most powerful demon, Sun Li quarreled and spat out his words at the most powerful demon. His core idea is just one. If you don't obey, I'll be killed. He has the demeanor of the fifth demon god. Ye Bai knew very well that as a person who should be robbed, Sun Li would not live a very happy life. Especially after being eaten by the most powerful demon. At the beginning, the idea of the most powerful demon god should be to integrate Sun Li. The catastrophe of annihilation cannot destroy the Eternal Tower, nor can it destroy the most powerful demon. But the supreme demon god himself has a huge problem. Countless powerful wills are fighting in his body, fighting for control of his entire body every minute. Once successful, the winner will not hesitate to overwhelm all other wills. The strongest people participating in this competition are determined to achieve great success. It's just that they want to succeed themselves and let others wither away their bones. By merging Sun Li into the body of the most powerful demon, he can kill some unlucky people and clean up his competitors with the help of the catastrophe of world destruction. Judging from the results, the most powerful demon god failed. Without Sun Li's bad luck, the Eternal Tower, which was supposed to be the most powerful original weapon, would not have become a seal that suppresses the most powerful demon. The child knew that Ye Bai didn't know, so he explained a little more. It was he who suggested eating Sun Li. This him refers to the fifth demon god. Ye Bai nodded slightly. If the true identity of the fifth demon god is what Ye Bai thinks, it is indeed something that the fifth demon god can do. The fifth demon god is the one who knows the Eternal Tower best. He proposed to eat Sun Li, but under the influence of bad luck, the most powerful demon was suppressed by the Eternal Tower. In just a few sentences, the game and danger hidden in it made even Ye Bai feel frightened as a spectator at this time. Under such circumstances, he can still make a comeback, minimize the losses, seal the most powerful demon in the Eternal Tower, and be the first to escape after the abyss opens. Have to say, the fifth demon god still has something. A little, but not much. Otherwise, things would not be like this. The fifth demon takes full responsibility. Ye Bai continued to concentrate and looked at the situation in the field. Sun Li's insults did not anger the most powerful demon. For the most powerful demon god, he had no idea who Sun Li was scolding. When Sun Li was tired of scolding, the consciousness of the most powerful demon god recovered from the chaos and made a sound again. When he spoke, it was as if countless mouths were speaking at the same time, making people's ears hurt due to the noise. Looking for the strongest human seed. Sun Li scolded back, "Look for your father." The most powerful demon god continued. The human race, many, qualified, Xeon seeds, who to choose? Sun Li continued to scold, "Choose someone who can kill an unfilial son like you." When the most powerful demon god said something, he would curse. The two sides cursed each other in the air, and the scene was very exciting. The most powerful demon god once again fell into chaos. The first one is named Lan. He is so proud. When he breaks it, the sound must be very beautiful. This one named Huo is too weak. The one with the surname Zhao can't. Wait a minute, I figured, a terrifying sword will be born in the human race soon. We can't wait any longer, we must open the Eternal Tower as soon as possible, the catastrophe of world destruction is coming soon. The most powerful demon is talking to himself crazily like a schizophrenic patient. Sun Li sneered from the side and said, "You don't know who to choose, right? Can I help you choose?" After he said these words, the most powerful demon fell silent. Several light groups appeared in front of Sun Li, with vague human faces on them. Sun Li pointed casually and selected one of them. Snapped. The light group was disillusioned, and the remaining light groups continued to float in front of Sun Li. Ye Bai was happy. The most powerful demon god also knows how to use Sun Li as an elimination method. Sun Li eliminated, and finally eliminated all the light groups. At this time, a tiny light group slowly emerged. The most powerful demon god has actually been chosen already. The choice he asked Sun Li to make before was just a cat and mouse game. The outcast. The lonely man. Those who have never felt the light, never received love, and never been treated well by the world. We gave him the mark of the strongest. Go find him and take him into the Eternal Tower, bring him, here, save me. After a scream, Sun Li disappeared from the spot, and the most powerful demon god once again fell into complete madness and began a new round of fighting. Before Ye Bai could comment, another flower appeared before his eyes. It turned out to be following Sun Li's perspective. The child thought that Ye Bai wanted to understand Sun Li, so he simply fixed his perspective on Sun Li. 5-star praise. The scene switches and Sun Li comes to earth. He soon looked like a beggar, although he was no different from a beggar to begin with. Sun Li didn't look for any powerful seeds, and he wasn't interested at all. He was begging flexibly and was beaten by the local snake Scarface. Scarface felt that this boy was not very smart, so he took Sun Li back to his hometown. As the saying goes, one more broken bowl, one more income. It was raining, and Sun Li lay in the mud, looking at the gray sky. He wanted to shout that the world was about to be destroyed. The most powerful demon was coming. Run. But, what's the use? Sun Li knows very well that there is no hope and there is no way to win. He knows the terror of the most powerful demon god better than anyone else. A tear slipped from the corner of Sun Li's eyes, mixed with rainwater, and disappeared into the dust. A child was wearing big boots that didn't fit well. The rainwater poured into the boots along the edges, making him walk very badly. Like a Donald Duck, he jumped up to Sun Li and asked with concern, "Were you stolen too? The children here are either abandoned or stolen. Sun Li is not young and must have been stolen. Go away, I'm annoyed." Sun Li, who was lying in the mud, turned over and was too lazy to pay attention to the little kid. Who knows, when he turned his head, his face fell into softness, as if he had stepped on dog shit. Above the black night sky, Sun Li's wailing echoed. "Fuck, who the hell is shitting here? Do you have any qualities? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 756. Lao Huo, are you here to poop? The guy named Wang deserves a beating, right? Behind the kid in boots, there was a conversation between the two. Sun Li. He only knew that he was unlucky, but he didn't expect that he was so unlucky. Sun Li found a pool of water and washed his face. The kid in boots followed him and handed him some paper. Sun Li hesitated and did not accept it. Sun Li said mockingly, "Things I touched are bad luck." After saying that, Sun Li was about to get up and leave. He had no intention of looking for the most powerful seeds of the human race, let alone helping the most powerful demon. As for what the most powerful demon said, Sun Li regarded it as fart. Whoever believes it is an idiot. Being eaten into the stomach by the most powerful demon, Sun Li has seen what it means to be a real madman. Countless strong men are quarreling, and greedy fools are fighting together. It's amazing what these guys can accomplish. After staying in the abyss for so long, Sun Li also knew some secrets. The most difficult to control group of fragments of the eternal origin escaped and became demon gods in the abyss. The most important thing is, that guy also took the opportunity to escape. However, if you want to escape from the most powerful demon, you must pay a sufficient price. Sun Li suspected that that guy was also crazy. What he has to do now is to go with the flow and wait for the tower to come and start. After the eternal tower arrives, no matter who the strongest seed is, Sun Li will stop them. After gathering his thoughts, Sun Li was ready to leave this beggar's den. There are all children here, and the most powerful seeds he is looking for are probably not here. As for when the eternal tower will come, Sun Li doesn't know. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe more than 10 years later. Time is not important to the most powerful demon god. Wait a moment. The child wearing boots asked Sun Li to wait where he was, while he ran back in the heavy rain. "Tisk, who do you think you are? You ask me to wait here, but do you insist on waiting?" Sun Li took a step forward. On the abandoned construction site, a steel bar smashed down and landed in front of Sun Li. Sun Li. Just as he was about to move, another steel bar fell down and landed behind Sun Li. Hiss. Sun Li realized that something was wrong. He is truly unlucky. But over the years, Sun Li has also summarized some rules. There will always be times when he will be in good times. If you want to change your destiny, or struggle, you must seize these opportunities. Sun Li stood there, waiting for the child to come back. Soon, a child wearing boots, dragging a child 2 heads taller than him, came to Sun Li. Huoda, apologize. Apologize. Why should I apologize? Huoda cursed and didn't understand what trouble he had gotten into. The kid in boots said seriously. You shouldn't poop anywhere. Huoda. Please, we are beggars, stolen, robbed, abandoned, unwanted children. This shitty world is so fucked up. What the hell is wrong with me pooping everywhere? No matter what Huoda said, the kid in boots was very stubborn and repeated over and over again. Apologize. Finally, Huoda suppressed his anger, gritted his teeth, and squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. Fuck, that's awesome. The van went on full throttle and crashed towards the bridge. Sun Li. He noticed that the child in front of him might be a little special. The more this happens, the more Sun Li will stay away from each other. By chance, the van hit the bridge pier, shaking the people inside the van to pieces and completely losing their ability to move. After saying that, Sun Li turned around and left, disappearing into the night. By chance, Scarface moved, and the van, which was originally on the edge of the bridge pier, lost its balance. As it happened, that section of the cement fence was in disrepair and failed to stop the van, allowing it to rush out. By chance, the van fell down. The next day. What a death! The group must have been destroyed. It just so happened that heavy rains and rising water occurred during this period. Didn't that guy say that the throttle is always stiff? I need to add some lubricant to him. In order to celebrate that the rain has passed, Scarface decided to take his little brothers out for a meal. Sun Li made up his mind to leave. As it happens, there is a large pier under the bridge. He planned to move to a place with fewer people to beg for food. Huoda, who was squatting next to the bridge, looked at the scene in front of him, dumbfounded and couldn't close his mouth from ear to ear. After drinking and eating, the boy driving the car stepped on the accelerator hard. While talking, Huoda muttered. Before leaving, he did not forget to say. The guy named Huo had a wicked smile on his face. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have pooped anywhere. Don't worry. He is doing something very interesting. Boom. Huoda, what are you doing here? A bunch of bubbles appeared on the surface of the water, but there was no more movement. I didn't pull it into his mouth, why should I apologize to him? The kid in boots wanted to catch up and say something, but when he turned around he found Huoda dishonest and playing with a broken bowl by the puddle. I'm quite unlucky. You'd better not touch the things I've touched, including that piece of shit. Boss, I seem to have drunk too much. We can fly. It feels like flying dash. After a while, Huoda reacted and started to applaud crazily. His little hands were red and his mouth felt like it was covered with honey. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 757. The perspective was fixed on Sun Li and the child could only continue to watch Sun Li bring harm to the world. These things all happened 100 years ago, or even earlier. Sun Li's life is either begging for food or on the way to beg for food. Although Sun Li had tried his best to avoid densely populated places, bad luck still happened one after another. In order not to implicate others, Sun Li simply ran to no man's land, preparing to starve to death. At the moment when Sun Lishan was at the end of his rope and about to die, a tower fell from the sky. Sun Li's pupils were filled with despair, but they still came. Sun Li knew that even if he committed suicide, there would be no way to prevent the arrival of the Eternal Tower. What's more, Sun Li is incapable of committing suicide. He will not be allowed to die in the catastrophe of annihilation. Since the most powerful demon gods can send Sun Li to Blue Star, they have the coordinates of Blue Star. This is the only gathering place for humans. It is also the only existence that poses a threat to the most powerful demon god. As long as this threat is eliminated, even if the disaster of annihilation comes again, the most powerful demon will have nothing to fear. The Eternal Tower descended in front of Sun Li. Sun Li collapsed on the ground, almost exhausted, unable to squeeze out even a drop of tears. He looked at the sky and felt endless despair. Then, Sun Li saw a butterfly. The butterfly danced gracefully, swirled in the air, and returned to the Eternal Tower. Another moment passed. A Taoist walked out of the Eternal Tower. To be precise, from Ye Bai's point of view, the third brother at this time was just wearing a white robe and walking out of the Eternal Tower. Xiaoao looked around blankly, looking at everything unfamiliar. Sun Li discovered Xiaoao, and Xiaoao naturally discovered Sun Li. Xiaoao looked at Sun Li and said with a sympathetic tone, "Bad luck." Sun Li smiled and did not reply. Xiaoao's eyes were confused again and he said to himself, "Who I am?" Sun Li may have been dazzled, but he always felt that the other party was wearing a Taoist robe, so he said casually, "Since you are wearing a Taoist robe, of course you are a Taoist." Xiaoao asked, "What will the Taoist do?" Sun Li replied angrily, "Taoists can tell fortunes, can you?" Xiaoao nodded. "He really does this." Sun Li didn't expect that if he dared to say it, the other party would really dare to answer. "Then you tell my fortune. Where is the person I'm looking for?" The Taoist did not answer, but stepped forward. From Ye Bai's perspective, when Xiaoao appeared, some fluctuations occurred in the long river of time. For an existence at Xiaoao's level, even if it takes time to restore the scene of the past, it would be very difficult. Ye Bai couldn't help but look a little solemn. Where did the third brother come from and why he came here? For Ye Bai, this matter is very important. Although he was trapped in the sword prison, he also knew that the third brother was not in a good condition now. When Ye Bai got out of the sword prison, he had to find a way to catch the third brother. It was naturally good for Ye Bai to do some homework in advance. The issue is, it seems that it was Xiaoao who told Ta Ling's fortune, and the authority he obtained later took effect. The history Ye Bai saw at this time was the most authentic history. Behind the Taoist was a young man whose eyebrows were somewhat similar to Shui Meng's. Ye Bai quickly discovered the clues. After the traffickers died, these children started a new life, and many of them are now living a good life. Xiaoao at this time has no awakening talent. Sorry, the directions were wrong. Chapter 448 was written as Chapter 484. Huoda put down his boxing gloves, picked up the keyboard, and became a keyboard warrior with full strength. The child who once wore boots is now an adult. 100 years ago, the Eternal Tower came for the first time, Xiaoao appeared, and the Eternal Tower opened. He did not come back alone. Just when Ye Bai was anxious. But the old thief is so gentle, I cried to death. The Taoist stopped in front of Sun Li, pointed at the young man, then pointed at Sun Li, and asked, "Is it him you are looking for?" At the same time, he wanted to know what the third brother was doing. And the head of the group of children, the child in boots, gave himself a new name. Huoda started fighting in the underground boxing ring and fought all the way to the world-class hall competition. However, because he shot too hard in the final, he was suspected of intentionally injuring others and was banned for life. You know, the time he has to watch now is very precious. The further away from the Eternal Tower, the weaker the strength. The versions they came into contact with had all been tampered with by some historical inventor. If it were Ye Bai now, it would be easy to achieve this level. This kind of foreshadowing that spans hundreds of thousands of words will indeed have a similar situation when it is recycled. If you feel that the recent plot is difficult to understand, you can point the way to chapter 448, which is a summary of the past. Xiaoao is near the Eternal Tower and has the most power to call upon. The perspective was fixed on Sun Li, and Ye Bai was also very anxious. Xiaoao was originally wearing a white robe, but after talking to Sun Li, he suddenly changed into a Taoist robe. When the Taoist steps away, each step can reach dozens of meters or even hundreds of meters. Many people are familiar with this history. Xueju. That Taoist priest is back. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 758. This is a precious video from 100 years ago. Without the help of children, Ye Bai would not have had the opportunity to watch this video. He is not yet the strongest, and he is unable to let Baiju take him on such a large-scale tour of time Changhe. Even today's second brother may find it difficult to support such a trip. Mainly, carrying Ye Bai's soy sauce bottle is very annoying. Wu Hen could do it alone. Xiaoao, mostly will find it boring. After Ye Bai becomes the most powerful person, he must fulfill the responsibilities of the most powerful person and will not have time to do this kind of thing. In other words, this time crossing to 100 years ago is Ye Bai's only chance. He opened his eyes wide and refused to miss any detail. Xiaoao takes Xueju to find Sun Li. Ye Bai noticed a detail. At this time, Xueju already had the mark of the strongest. Based on the previous words of the most powerful demon god, it was not difficult for Ye Bai to judge that they chose Xueju. The first generation of human race's most powerful people were chosen by the most powerful demon god. Something about this always feels weird. In the view of the most powerful demon, choosing this child is the safest choice. Others, more or less, have reasons to fight for the world. Xueju didn't. He has never felt love. As a child, he could only play with shadows. He has no reason to protect the world. As long as the strongest human race is willing, they can take action to solve the troubles of the strongest demon god. The most powerful demon god sends the opponent to ascend, and this world is completely occupied by the most powerful demon god. Everyone is happy. They calculated thousands of things but failed to calculate anything. Xueju is really risking his life. After seeing Xueju's figure, the child wearing boots from back then seemed to appear in front of Sun Li's eyes. Sure enough, it's him. Sun Li struggled to get up without looking at the weird Taoist. He looked at Xueju with his eyes and said seriously. You can't go in, no. You can't go in this tower. Sun Li stopped in front of Xueju, with a cry in his voice. You have no idea what you are facing. The guy sealed inside can easily destroy the world. As long as you don't go in, wait quietly for the disaster to come. Looking directly into Sun Li's eyes, Xueju smiled slightly and nodded slightly. Then I'll go even more. After knowing the truth, Xueju not only did not shrink back, but also strengthened his determination to move forward. Avoiding will not solve the problem. Sun Li no longer knew what to say. It's obviously something that can be avoided. If you don't enter the Eternal Tower, don't start all this, everything will end when the disaster of annihilation comes. In the catastrophe of annihilation, death is just a matter of a moment. Why do you have to struggle like this? Xueju thought for a while and told Sun Li. I think there should be more good people in the world. Sun Li sighed. Since the opponent has the mark of the strongest, he is the strongest seed of the human race. He disdains lying. At this time, Ye Bai, who was watching, saw a prompt pop up in front of his eyes. As he spoke, he placed his palm on the Eternal Tower, and a black aura emerged from Xueju. From the eternal origin, something seemed to fly out and submerge into Xueju's body. He sat on the ground and made way for Xueju, feeling lost. Xiaoao asked for help from the other party and was willing to tell his fortune 3 times. Xueju thought for a while and gave his answer. He shook his head again. Also, if the abyss really opens, what's the use of you alone? Only you can enter the tower, only you can become stronger, it can't be stopped. Have hope for the future. I'm sorry to inform you that the foreshadowing guide was wrong. The correct foreshadowing was chapter 448, but I typed it wrongly and it was chapter 484. I was shocked when I read this chapter. The Taoist stood aside. Mark of the strongest. The most important thing is that I have no choice, right? He wanted to call the other party naive, but he couldn't. Ye Bai is the castrated version of someone who has been stabbed. Xueju pointed to the Eternal Tower and said seriously. As long as there are enough good people, things will always develop in a good direction. It's over, you will be despised by the Eternal Source. How will you know if you don't try? Programmer Hell has already fixed this bug. His optimism failed to infect Sun Li. At the same time, a dazzling light appeared in front of Xueju's eyes. The belt on Ye Bai's shoulder felt this aura and emerged. Sun Li. Xiaoao just told me that the abyss will come soon, and the Eternal Tower is the only place where I can gain strength. However, the most powerful mark in Xueju's hand was complete. Xueju patted his shoulder, the smile on his face was as bright as the sun. Sun Li's lips moved weakly for a few times, and finally gave up persuading the other party. Xueju had already used up the first opportunity. Xueju awakens SSS level talent. Dream comes true. Name and criticize the old thief in the world, and deduct 1 hour of the coding time of the old thief in the world this month as punishment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 759. After Xueju awakened his talent, he prepared to enter the Eternal Tower. Please enter the Eternal ID. Xueju thought for a while and felt that she needed a more aggressive ID. Otherwise, you will be too nice and have no deterrent effect. After thinking for a moment, Xueju entered 2 words. Nightmare. Then, he walked into the Eternal Tower. Ye Bai. As he was watching, he felt as if he had eaten half of the melon, like it was stuck in his throat and he couldn't spit it out. Ye Bai suggested. Can we follow Xueju's perspective and walk in? The child frowned and explained. Yes, I can. At this time, my eldest brother has not become the strongest yet. The problem is. Ye Bai was afraid of any accident and said quickly. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, don't force it. No. The child shook his head and pointed to the Eternal Tower. Ta may not necessarily agree. As an existence that can withstand the catastrophe of annihilation, the Eternal Tower is actually still vaguely higher than the strongest. The most powerful people of all races cannot resist the catastrophe of annihilation without eternal origin. And the Eternal Tower can. Of course, except for the strongest human beings. The strongest humans in the human race are strong because they possess fragments of eternal origin, which are often referred to as SSS level talents. However, even though Ye Bai had SSS level talent, he didn't feel anything special. You scold me again. Ye Bai smiled after listening to the child's words. Ta disagree. Ta dares to disagree. As an expert at SSSS level clearance and fighting the strongest demon, Ye Bai might be a bit incompetent. But Ye Bai is really good at clearing the tower. Apart from him, which other strongest person has ever received an SSSS level rating? Ye Bai didn't even bother to mention it. After communicating with the child, Ye Bai strode forward and walked to the Eternal Tower, patting the shadow with his hand. Open the door. Open the door quickly. I felt the call from the long river of time, and the other party quickly responded. Who are you? Ye Bai said confidently. Save the Tarn people. He, Ye Bai, has saved the tower countless times. He charges a small amount of remuneration every time. Where can he find such a conscientious benefactor? Tulling. Shura may be the only person in the world who can be so shameless. Soon, the tower spirit lifted the restrictions on the eternal tower and gave Yabai and the child permission to enter the river of time to watch the scene. Yabai and the child walked into the eternal tower and happened to bump into Shweju holding a trembling little golden pig. A piece of rag wrapped in a little golden pig, Shweju tried to comfort him. Lilith is really showing off. Yabai never expected that someone could go from being bad 100 years ago to being good for 100 years in one go. The performance is very stable. However, Yabai was still a little surprised when he saw Lilith appearing here, even if he knew about it. To be able to appear on the novice level, Lilith's origin must not be as simple as the sister of the blood ancestor. Lilith, who was on the verge of collapse, slowly recovered under Shweju's comfort and began to happily chew on the boneless chicken feet. Yabai. To put it another way, without Shweju's comfort, Lilith would have really collapsed. Hiss. Yabai discovered something. That old boy Cain might know something. After entering the Eternal Tower, Cain has been chasing Lilith. Even if he abandons everything in his eternal temple, he pursues her madly at any cost. And Lilith also escaped all the way to the novice copy in order to avoid being chased by a strange combination of circumstances. What if these are all included in the blood ancestor's calculations? Cain thought very highly of himself, but he was actually a tsundere. If you want to control Cain, it's really not easy. For Cain to do something, you don't even need any motive, just a light for the glory of the blood clan. Cain will take the bait. Unlike Dracula, the more his strength improved, the more Yabai felt that Xiaodeza was hiding something behind his back. In the sheepfold, except for the heartless Xuemeng, the others were all old coins. If viewed from this perspective, Blood Ancestor's original arrangement may have been to return directly after Lilith collapsed. Although I don't know exactly how the other party operates. But Yabai felt that his guess was very close to the truth. Blood Ancestor never expected that Lilith would meet the heartwarming big brother nightmare. The nightmare made a dream come true and brought Lilith back. The aura that came from just that moment was very dangerous. In Shura's personal and exclusive space. During this time, Gabriel was suspended in the air, his black wings motionless, staring in the direction of Tianxia Pavilion, as if facing a formidable enemy. At this moment, I miss my sister too. I haven't seen my sister in many years. Lucifer glanced at it and said casually. It's so noisy. They were saying those words like a wheel, and they were all reminiscing about the glory of the blood ancestor, and they were all serving as dogs to the blood ancestor. On the swing, a voice as cold as an iceberg cursed in a low voice. What are you afraid of? He hasn't woken up yet. When will these miserable days end? Lilith thought they were getting a little annoyed. While she was swinging and eating potato chips, she looked down and asked curiously. He looked at the swing in Tianxia Pavilion, where there was a carefree golden pig swinging happily. The golden pig on the swing is still in a good mood. There was a sigh behind the golden pig. On a swing sat a golden pig. One of them sighed. The moment they heard this voice, all the vampire clan elders, no, it should be said that the vampire clan in the entire exclusive space were suppressed to the ground almost at the same time, their bodies fell to the ground, and they were unable to move. Lord Lilith, when will blood ancestor Lilith return? Gabriel said nothing, his face, which was already taciturn, was full of fear. Lilith frowned and realized that things were not simple. Thinking of this, Lilith became even more annoyed. Hiss. Under the swing, 7 or 8 respected vampire clan elders were waiting beside the swing like eunuchs, for fear that something might happen to the golden pig. Tianxia Pavilion. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that the blood ancestor should have appeared 100 years ago? Strange, why are you all stuck in the soil? And Lilith's destruction, was forced into the appearance of the blood ancestor and delayed indefinitely? Yabai felt a chill in his head and thought of some possibility. Dracula didn't know where he went, Cain didn't know where he went, and even the demon lord didn't know where he went. Wait, something seems wrong, I know. Butler Gujin, someone damaged the floor here, and I have to share half of their fine. It will be credited to the catering fee. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 760. Yabai still doesn't know what happened in the exclusive space. At this moment, all his energy was focused on the picture in front of him, carefully watching every move of the nightmare, for fear of missing any useful details. The nightmare held the little golden pig and moved forward in the tunnel. It was different from Yabai's imagination. Nightmare didn't encounter any monsters, and no battles took place. There are no hidden levels. The novice copy is a passage leading to the underground. Yabai was very familiar with this passage. At the end of the passage is the place where the most powerful demon is sealed. Only then did Yabai realize that the hidden levels of the novice copy were hidden by nightmares. The same is true for the design of the Eternal Tower. From the perspective of a latecomer, the Eternal Tower is too much like a leveling Holy Land, with too many traces of artificial interference. Looking back now, this so-called artificial intervention should have started from the nightmare. As for why there is no relevant historical record, then you have to ask the clever Yingju. Another doubt in Yabai's heart was also solved. Why is the most powerful demon on the 0th floor instead of stopping on the first floor from the beginning? Just like Yabai is planning to build Shura Tower, if people are needed to guard it, 8 powerful people will be placed on the first floor. The euphemistic name is, Yabai alone guards the 8th floor. If there really is a being who can break through the first level, then there doesn't seem to be much difference with or without Yabai. In fact, the most powerful demon god really designed it this way. But it was changed by the nightmare. Yabai watched the nightmare walk down the passage, but couldn't follow him. The child tugged at the corner of his clothes and said seriously, "Don't go, you will die." He was afraid that Yabai would misunderstand, so he explained a little more. "You're too weak now. Yabai. Yabai's current situation is very special. After entering the dreamland, he followed Baiju into the long river of time, which was a state of fugue. An existence of the level of the supreme demon god can sense changes in the river of time at all times. If Yabai dared to appear in front of the most powerful demon in this form, the other party would immediately murder him. As for whether Yabai can be resurrected, that is another story. Yabai knew that there was no need for children to lie to him. He had no choice but to wait where he was. Not long after, an angry roar came from deep in the passage. Soon, Shueju is back. It looks like the talks have broken down. However, Yabai also knew very well that with Shueju's character, it was impossible to talk to the most powerful demon god together. Shueju, who came back, looked at the wall and seemed to be talking to something. It should be Taling. This thing is called the mark of the strongest, right? A ball of black light appeared in Nightmare's palm, and he continued. If the person I talked to before exists and is not lying, the powerful mark that has never been used before is used for the first time, and the power when combined with the eternal fragments will be very terrifying. It's not an exaggeration to call it a step to the sky. The Eternal Tower is opened for everyone in the world. Yabai knew that this was not the strongest dream come true. In this way, even if you fail, lose, or die, you will have no regrets. The traceless imprint of the strongest is incomplete. After 9 awakenings, while burning everything, the nightmare used its remaining soul to suppress the mighty abyss. This is the first time the dream come true has taken effect. Black light bloomed, filling every corner of the entire space. Nightmare has a bold idea. After combining my talents with the mark of the strongest, it seems that I can get an opportunity to enhance their use. Xiaoyao also waited for Wuhan to fight the most powerful demon before he got the complete most powerful mark. Xueju shook his head. Faced with this temptation, Nightmare simply refused. Of course, each of these four is special in its own way. Ta Ling's voice sounded, that's right. After today, even if you want to defeat that enemy, you should become as strong as possible. Among the four most powerful seeds of the human race, Nightmare is an extremely special being. For example, someone as shameless as Ye Bai is rare in the world. He wasn't sure if he could solve such a big trouble by himself. I dreamed that this door would be open to everyone in the world. The dream come true combination of the never used Xeon mark and the SSS level talent is indeed very powerful, beyond imagination. One of the reasons why Nightmare is special, before he awakened his talent, he held the complete mark of the strongest. Along with the loud noise, the huge door of the Eternal Tower revealed some gaps, and a ray of sunlight jumped in. A person's power is limited. But Nightmare closed her eyes, moved her lips slightly, as if talking in her sleep, and whispered. Not to mention Ye Bai, he still doesn't know the concept of a complete mark of the strongest. The future of the human race should not be controlled by one person, but should be decided by the human race itself. Looking at the black light ball in the palm of his hand, Xueju made up his mind. After taking a few deep breaths, he used Dream Come True for the first time. Ye Bai once saw a stronger dream come true in the abyss of the strongest. This power, after Nightmare uses Dream Come True, can directly make him become infinitely close to the strongest. Ta Ling was very puzzled and asked proactively. Rumble.